Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Let's Talk About Life podcast. This is episode 11. We asked the question, when did you stop believing in yourself? And how has that affected the way that you live your life today? Take a look and please tell us what you think in the comments. Okay, so 6th and 7th grade and you're all of a sudden experiencing like I'm having la-di-da, I'm having a good time. Then all of a sudden your parents are kind of disappointed in your grades. And you're like, dang, what are you talking about? I'm doing my best. I'm having a good time. Then it starts to become apparent that you're not hitting the mark.
So 6th grade was them talking. 7th grade is when it hit me. And then 8th grade is when I came out of it.
Okay, so this is beautiful. So
7th grade.
So
yes.
6th grade is when you realize that you're not enough. And you attempt to bring your grades up, I'm assuming, to some effort? Or,
yeah.
Okay. But if you get to the point where you don't care, and this is a tough one, unless you can really think about it, did you just give up altogether? 7th grade. What was the statement or the mindset or the theme of you giving up?
3 words. I don't care.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah.
This is where the magic is. I love this stuff.
Yeah.
So what happens is when we cannot achieve, and we strive our hardest to achieve, if I try to do what my parents want me to do, if I feel like it's an impossible feat, then the only way to regain control is to not care.
Exactly.
I can't care.
So true.
If I care, then they have control because I care that they care. But if I just rebel and say, that's not for me, I'm not about that, and then start hating maybe on people that are doing the same thing, all of a sudden that rebelliousness is your sense of freedom. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to, friends that I have, where you feel them caring, and they're like, I don't care anymore. It don't matter.
Yep.
Evan, forget it.
Yep.
Because they need to detach because it's hitting their identity too heavily.
Wow.
And so they create a new identity that fits the reality of them not being smart. Unquote. You create a new reality that fits your insecurity.
That's huge.
It fits your insecurity by hiding it. So all of a sudden you're like, I don't care, 7th grade. And so it teaches him a story. The trauma taught him this story that he doesn't care about education or school. But something else happened. And obviously, it's not like this ABC for everybody's life, but the same pattern happens, depending on the length of time. So what happened from 7th grade to 8th grade? Why did you care all of a sudden?
I think it was mainly to prove to myself and to prove to them. It was like a double whammy kind of thing, where it's just kind of me going back to like, I got this, and me being like, I can do it. I can do what you're saying. Like, it's not like, because before I wasn't conscious about it. Now I'm conscious about it.
Right.
So now I want to be like, I can do what you're asking me to do. It's not what I want to do. Because in 7th grade, this is it. In 7th grade, they were just like, you're stupid. You're not going to amount to anything. And they like meant it.
Is this really what they were saying?
Yes, this is exactly. In Arabic, it said like a garbage man. We say you're going to be a garbage man.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
So it's not you're stupid, but what you're doing is going to leave you on the street.
Yes,
Got
yes.
it, okay.
And in Egypt, that's like.
That's
that's the bottom of the.
I really,
Yeah.
Okay, I can pick it up.
So it was almost like they believed it, which was deep.
They were scared for you.
They were actually like, this is the path that you're going down. And
was there shame that they had for that?
I think so.
Okay, I'm just I totally understand it, but okay, so that's heavy for a kid, obviously.
Yes.
Totally. So go ahead.
I think that was really it. I was just like, hey, whoa. I can do it. I just don't want to.
Right.
Kind of thing. It's not that I can't do it. Like, it's almost like me proving to them I am going to amount to something, but school doesn't matter. Like, school is not what my focus is on.
Right.
I'm just here to learn, get good grades, and get B's. Like, I don't care about B's.
Right.
Like, B's will get me to the next level. This is just not my path that I want to go down to, because at a very young age, I knew, like, I knew there was something about me that I didn't want to work for somebody, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but you didn't want to follow the rules at school. Like, school kind of was just a little bit. I get that.
Yeah.
So here's a question that I have.
What's up?
When you went from 7th grade to 8th grade, did you feel the pressure of not getting into Fountain Valley?
I think I did.
So, because the reason I'm asking is there's 2 types of motivators. They're both external, but the first is I don't want to disappoint my parents. It's actually 3. I don't want to disappoint my parents. 1, I want to prove my parents wrong. 2, I need to get in this school. What was it? All 3 of them?
I think it was. Yes, that's perfect.
Okay, so I don't want to disappoint my parents is like the undercurrent.
Yeah.
I want to prove them wrong is like, I'm going to show them. But what happens is if you just went down the path of I don't care, then all of a sudden education becomes your enemy to a certain extent. Anybody that tries to authoritatively teach you becomes a threat because you may not learn it. Therefore, they're a threat. because they'll remind you that you're not smart enough. So this is the reason I've like teasing this stuff out, is because these narratives are happening in all of us all the time. And to understand that we have these different drivers that move us, you start to realize, holy crap, how much choice do I really have in the matter? Because if I'm trying to do this just to prove them wrong, or trying to do this just to hit that result, how much volition do we have? And that's why it's so important. Like as we grow up, we become clear on who we are, what our identity is, what our identities are, so that we're not so easily swayed by our traumatic experiences to stop believing things about us. So 100%. A perfect example for me, I was taking we had to take an exam. It was a math exam, and it was to find out whether you're a math major or a math minor, right? And the thing that's so interesting about this, all you want to do is you want to be a math major. So we take the test. Obviously, I'm stressed out because I'm terrified of not being a math major. I take the test, and then they give the grades back, and minor.
Wow.
I'm a math minor. Literally, that experience made math the enemy. I did not meet the mark. I saw myself as someone who is intelligent. I saw myself as someone who wanted to have that prestige. It was almost like, getting that Letterman jacket or the green jacket. That's what it was, and I didn't have it. And all of a sudden, there was a case system. All of a sudden, there was a separation. There was the math majors and the math, and the words, just the way that they sound. You're like, just imagine as a kid, I'm a math minor, right? So what happened is, as time went by, I told myself that I'm not good at math. To the point where even in my young adulthood, somebody's like, let's cut up the receipt. I'm like, I'm not good at math. I don't even touch it. I don't even want to look at it. I don't even want to think about it.
It's almost conditioned.
That's heavy.
100%. But the conditioning is not like this repetitive thing. It was a traumatic experience, right? They said that this is what you are.
Wow.
You've been placed. And don't attempt to jump higher because you'll fall again. Remember what it felt like when you fell? Remember when you took that test and you didn't pass? Don't put yourself in that situation again.
Dang.
Suck at math. But at the same time, obviously, it's easy to fabricate that environment when you have an environment that publicly separates you to math majors and minors. It's a dumb thing to do because obviously it's going to give you a complex, right? So I had that, and I just avoided math. And it followed me my whole life.
Wow.
Like even the reason that I took time before going back to school, before going to Berkeley, math was one of the things that I was avoiding because I had to start backwards. Mm-hmm. And you know what's so crazy about it is when I was taking a class with a specific teacher. This was in high school. I took a pre-calculus class in the summer.
Okay.
And I killed it because the teacher made it fun.
Exactly.
They broke down the belief that I sucked at math.
Exactly. And
I was doing math problems, pre-calculus problems without a calculator. And I mean, I was just like Rain Man on this thing.
It's fun.
How did she break down that belief? Like, was it something that she said?
I love that you said she. Yeah. It was a he. I mean, it's kind of cool. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Gender equality. Jesus.
Sexist.
Right, exactly. So the way how did he break it down? He made it fun. He turned it into games.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
He got me intrinsically motivated, right? When I was intrinsically motivated, I believed that I could do it, right? And I had fun with it because a game, even though you lose a game, you don't stop playing the game again. So flash forward to college, the entrance exams, I forgot math, so I got dumb again. And obviously that old trigger pops back up, and I take a placement test, and I don't like where it placed me.
Ugh,
dang.
Right?
Crazy.
So I had to get to a place where I had to face math in order to break down the belief. Right?
Yeah.
I faced it. And funny enough, by me facing it, it's what got me into Berkeley. Because I had to deal with that class, these classes that I had to take. You know what I mean? I literally had to start from the bottom and bring myself back up. Now, the thing is, math, I'm not like looking forward to it right now. But I know that if I dedicate time for it, I could be incredible at it. Because
Wow.
I know it. Also because I'm not relating my entire story and narrative to two experiences that I've had in my life. But the problem is most people do. The problem is most people have a traumatic experience and they live in it. They live in it as real. It is literally reality.
It's
Yes.
scary, dude. It's so freaking scary.
And it's almost like they just tie everything like
To it.
math minor, cool. This is math minor too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. The feeling of like it's the label of I'm not enough. The thing is, it's so crazy. This kind of goes to the past protector. When I'm working with my clients, they have all had those experiences that tie to some form of unworthiness.
Absolutely.
Right? And so the reason that they're sabotaging themselves in their lives all the time, in all these areas where they're trying to grow, is because there is that other self in them that is saying, don't jump too high. Don't expose yourself because you may be a math minor. It's just real. It's terrifying. Yep. It's our past protector. I think it was Freud or Jung. I don't know, but they said that they say the child is father to the man. In essence, the child is father to the man. Who was here first? Me as an adult or me as a kid?
You as a kid.
He's older.
Exactly.
He's been here longer,
Mm-hmm.
and he set the rules for me to follow.
Exactly.
And so when he got hurt in math minor, he set the rules. Don't try math
Dang.
because it's going to be painful,
That's crazy.
right? Don't try. Don't expose yourself, right? And we're doing this in so many different areas of our lives. And I'm following the rules of that kid. And all he knows
So
is
awesome.
I feel pain.
Yeah.
And I don't want to feel pain no more, so I'm going to make sure that you never do this again.
Yeah.
And every time
Okay,
that you
we're
try,
pain.
right? Every
Yeah.
time
No
you
more.
try,
No more.
he
Right.
hits you.
Little kid.
What other areas did you drag that into?
What's that?
Like family, girlfriend, girls, friends.
Like math? Well, the math might. It's specific.
Was it your whole life kind of thing?
What, math?
No, like the was it all of reality or
No,
was
I
it-
mean it's specific areas. Like case in point, you said that because I can't get good grades, I'm gonna hate education. What you were doing is you were retaliating to the situation that caused the pain. That was so. What happens is we are just ricochets. You know, I was talking to one of my clients, and it was ultimately what we are is a ricochet to circumstance. Therefore, we are not choosers of our being. I got math minor, therefore I suck at math. And I was just a ricochet from the pain of that experience and totally closed off the door to loving math.
So you're basically closing doors for every single ricocheted moment, every traumatic
Yeah.
event.
To avoid.
To avoid everything.
Because your identity is so sensitive to these
Damn.
things, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
That's
you-
like suffering.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, do you ever get to a space where like the circumstances no longer affect you fully, or is there still like to some degree?
There's kind of two methods that I can think of. One is it's like exposure therapy. If a person's like terrified of a snake, right? You have them watch a video of it. They're like, oh. Then you have them go, into one room while another person's holding one over there. Like, what? Then you have them go in the room while the person's holding one.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have them go in there when the person who's holding one gives it to somebody else. And nothing happens. And then you have them stand by it. And then you stand by the person who's holding it and they give it to you. So as time goes by, you become more exposed to it, so it's not as much of an ill effect,
Yeah.
right? So that's one method. You face the fears, right?
In
So
increments.
if I'm not good at math, I just keep getting into and doing it
Exactly.
until I become better at it, which takes a lot of. If you're doing it by yourself, it takes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like with coaching, it's like, okay, we have somebody who's kind of helping you
Yeah,
do it,
yeah,
right?
encourage.
But it's very, very difficult to do. So that's by combating it directly. Another way is by having other identities.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm bad at math, but I'm good at English, and I'm not only good, I have really good emotional intelligence. You know what I mean? I also can play guitar. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a brother, son, all these different things. As I start to build more identities rather than believing this identity is my most prized one, and I failed at it, the effect of it doesn't hit so much. This is like social psychology.
Yeah.
The effect of it doesn't hurt so bad. So the goal is to just two-prong approach. Find your other identities, thrive in them, acknowledge this, but use exposure therapy to get yourself to a place where you're slowly able to face it. You know what I mean? Because the thing is sometimes what happens, we get sucked into the vortex, and just like you were saying, it may start off with math minor, but it could be in a relationship as well. I'm not going to relate, and they all kind of vacuum together, which creates this self-perspective of what you are not. And that'll travel with you everywhere. Anything that makes you feel like the feeling of math minor
You walk away.
is everywhere. That's exactly it.
And you tie things to that narrative. You stack them.
100%.
Oh, minor. Okay, cool. Girlfriend leaves me. Oh, cool.
Right.
Math minors and girlfriend leave me.
Right,
Okay,
right,
and then
right.
you just
That's what's so crazy about it is they all point to this idea that we're not capable. We're not worthy of love or
worthlessness.
something like that. You know what I mean? And so, if you think about your thoughts, the amount of thoughts that you have and how many of them are negative and obviously self-directed,
Yeah.
if you think about how much you beat yourself up,
It's 98% of the time.
right? If you think about it,
it's a good percentage.
right? But that's on constant play in your head. But the thing is, you have to ask yourself, who's sourcing that? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like if you look at a spring, you see water bubbling up, and you're like, where is it coming? There's a pressure, and there's this constant, geyser effect of this
Yeah.
thing that just. So it's not just the water. It's like, wait, there's a producer in there, constructor of these thoughts that's constantly pushing out this energy and looking at situations that cause you to feel it. You know what I mean?
And what really separates what your mindset is what your answer is to that. Because so many people will be like, okay, the producer is other people.
Yeah.
And then once you kind of shift into the producer is me,
Bam.
it just instantly changes your life, your mindset, your mood. When you start being like, oh,
Absolutely.
It's me.
Well, it's scary and it's exciting at the same time. The reason that it's that way, the reason that it's scary and exciting is because you are now the producer. When you look at a movie and you say produced by, they're like, that's the head honcho. They're the ones that make the movie. The reality of the movie requires the producer. The director isn't even until the producer's there. So if we realize that we're the producer, then we can actually produce a new story. We then have power. Before, what happens is traumatic experiences cause this to happen to me. And because of these external experiences, I cannot allow myself to experience these things because I feel this when that happens. Therefore, I'm a ricochet to these triggers. But if all of a sudden you realize that the story you produced because of these experiences are not ricochets, they're choices internally that we made to protect ourselves, all of a sudden you can change the script. You determine what script you like. The producer will determine that.
That's
So
huge.
that's where the power is at. There's a lot of people that write scripts. You give it, and then they cut it up. Whoever determines it is
Yes.
obviously the entertainment company and the producers.
Yeah, I want to add on and be like, just think of your life as a movie.
Absolutely.
View yourself from a third person's perspective and be like, I can change anything.
Right.
I mean, I am the creator of my life.
Right.
I'm the creator of my moods. I'm the creator of everything.
Which is exciting and scary because then you're responsible. And that we're terrified of. Because if you're responsible, when you make a mistake, it's your fault.
Yep.
This is why it's sometimes easier to play tug of war than it is to wrestle one-on-one. In tug of war, they found that when people were pulling, there's kind of this energy where I don't have to pull that much. Nobody can really tell who's the one that's pulling more, right? But when you're wrestling, if you lose, you lose. There is nothing else that can really happen. You can't blame it on anybody. So we like to have the tug of war experience where we can blame it on kind of anybody. You don't know how hard I was pulling. I can say I was pulling really hard. But this person wasn't.
Yep.
It's anybody's game. But as soon as it becomes wrestling, it's you. It's 100% you. And that's the same thing that happens to us. We become scared because we're responsible, but we're excited because we can make any type of change that we could ever imagine if we allowed ourselves to do it.
When you're that young and that's your first time you failed in something, you feel like you let everyone down. That was when I was 10 years old playing for a soccer team. I was playing for AYSO, and I was part of the Silver Bullet team, and I was the goalie. And as a goalie, you are the one that you're the final defense.
Right.
When the ball comes in and you don't save the ball, it's a goal, you lose.
Yeah. On you.
And in that experience, I've never forgot to this day. There's even a picture of me, and every time I see that picture of me wearing that outfit, it brings back that triggered event
Wow.
and that memory.
Dang.
That's crazy.
That's the first time I had failure,
Yeah.
the bitter taste of it. And I was so pissed because that one game, my dad was behind me trying to coach me while the game was going on. He's like, Ali, keep going forward. You know,
Yeah.
the ball's coming, keep going. And like, don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. And I'm a little kid, you know? And he's just helping me because he's my dad. He wants me to win.
Right.
And then this kid comes in. I get scared and I hesitate. And then he makes a shot. Boom, they win the game.
Wow.
And that was it.
That's
And that when they won the game, I was screaming from the top of my lungs. I looked at my dad and I was saying, I hate you in front of everybody.
Dang.
Wow. I hate you. And my dad didn't say anything. He just kept his mouth shut.
How did it feel? I mean, that's heavy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said that.
Because that was my first time I
Right.
lost belief in myself.
Right.
Because as a kid growing up, I was always someone to looked up to. I was always like that kid that was the golden kid,
Yeah,
fastest kid, skilled kid. And this is my first game that I'm playing soccer.
yeah.
And I lose the game, and it was my fault.
Okay, so, but did you think it was your fault
Yes.
or was it your dad's fault?
I knew it was my fault, but I blamed him because I was just so angry I couldn't blame myself.
That's so
So I started blaming him for it. But
Good.
I knew it was my fault.
It was too heavy.
It's too heavy.
That was some magical stuff right there, man. That is real. So, okay, you missed the shot. Okay, they took the shot. They got the shot. It went right past you.
Still hurts me right now
Right?
thinking about it.
Bro, see how visceral it is? Like, this is what's so funny. People think that the past is the past. It's present right now.
Yeah, it is. I can feel it.
The past is now.
Yeah.
And you're experiencing it, and you just because you're feeling it just by thinking it, right? Imagine if something traumatic happened now that reminded you of it. That's a double hit. This is happening, which reminds me of that, which puts me in that space, which makes me look at this the same way I looked at that, because the child is father to the man.
Oh my God.
You see what I'm saying? It's crazy, but you at the same time.
That's crazy.
I mean, literally we're just for programs, bro. Like
Yeah.
we are so simple, and what we do is we obfuscate things with complexity, because complexity gives us space to fall short. It gives us space to have excuses. It gives us space to not attempt, right? We make things difficult and complex because if it's too simple, then everything's our fault. We don't want that. So we need the complexity. Let's take it back. You're with your father. You immediately blame your father. That is what you did was you felt the guilt, but projected the enemy externally because you couldn't take your own guilt and then take the guilt of everybody else's disappointment. That's just like some heavy. I'm assuming this,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. And
But
that's
to a
right.
certain extent, you're like, and at your dad was coaching. He was like backseat driving to a certain extent. So that's frustrating at the same time.
Yeah.
So the question is, what I would do is I'd say, where else does that show up in your life? Because that pattern and process is now a mechanism. At that time, that's who I am. This is what I do in these type of situations.
Wow.
And now you start to look. And it doesn't mean that it fits every single piece,
Exactly.
but you've at least have a rough estimate of how you work in situations and try to see where that pattern shows itself more and more and more.
That's crazy.
Right? And once you start to see where that pattern shows itself more and more, you become an observer to your own reactions. And that's when you're free. That's when it becomes scary because it's your responsibility now to change it.
Wow. That's crazy.
100%, man. Yeah, that's
Dude,
that's
a
very true.
responsibility to
No,
change it.
it's very
Damn,
true.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Wow. That's crazy.
That's a heavy thing, dude.
That's heavy.
The fact that you still feel it too when you look at the picture and you feel it like that's our barometer of how close to our unconscious mind it is or how close to our projecting mind it is.
Did you feel that he was maybe calling you like, because I had these experiences all the time and I think this way. I was just curious, like, do you think like I'm dumb? Like, does he think I'm dumb kind of thing? Or is it not like that? I'm just taking a guess.
No, the reason why is because my dad, soccer was his life. you
Okay.
know, and he wanted to become a professional soccer player. So when he would see
Oh.
me, he would envision me as him.
Yeah, living vicariously.
Exactly. So that's what and then what he would try to do is try to like literally pretend he's in my body.
Absolutely.
Was
And
that-
he wants me to make these
Right,
moves
right.
and fly in the air like a professional. I'm a 10-year-old kid, man. So that stress already
Wow.
is just, and as a kid, you're like, oh my God, I want to make my dad happy. I want to win this game. I want everyone to love me.
Yeah.
And me losing, not only me saying I hate him was actually saying I love you and I'm sorry that I failed. Me shouting at him and saying I hate
Whoa.
you
Whoa.
was actually me saying I love you because I did not know what to say.
Dude.
To say, Dad, I'm sorry I lost the
Okay.
game. I was just, and I that's the crazy part, bro.
Well, there's two of you inside of yourself. You
Yeah.
have this. You're carrying the hopes of your father
Yeah.
to a certain, or your imagined hopes of your father, while at the same time, oh man, this is
Crazy.
like meta. I'm like, let's see if I can do it. You're carrying the hopes of your father while you're doing this. Then you let him down, and you're sorry for that, for your team and for your dad, while at the same time you can't carry that load all by yourself. And you know that his kind of talking in your ear took you out of your state, and so you're frustrated at him. Okay, so here it is. You wanted to love the idea of your father, but the present father that you had worked against your effort to make happy that idea of your father.
Exactly.
So literally your father was both love and hate
Yeah.
for you, right? And at the same time, you were disappointed in yourself,
Guilt.
angry at yourself,
Guilt.
and couldn't carry all that by yourself. So if you could blame somebody else, it would diffuse at least the heaviness of this feeling of suck. Like I let me down, I let my team down, I let the idea of my dad down, while at the same time my dad who's present was constantly berating me because he loved me. It's heavy.
That's
I mean, and you don't need to be, I didn't need to cut this up like that,
Yeah, but that makes sense though.
but it's intriguing.
Absolutely.
And then
you're
it just-
spot on.
Locks in, and so you start to see the world this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Would you
play
have
golf.
wanted to play professionally or at least at a higher level? Or was it not your thing?
It was my dad wanted me to play.
Of course.
To this day, he
Wow.
tells me, he's like, Ali, he's like, you could be the world soccer, professional goalie,
Yeah.
and I could train you. I'll be your one-on-one coach. Last year, man, I was taking him to the beach every single week, and we were playing soccer together.
Right.
I was doing it strictly to get him in shape.
Right.
But I was living his dream
Right.
of playing soccer to be a goalie.
nice play.
But I wanted him to get healthy. I took
Yeah.
my
Dude,
mom,
that's
dad.
heavy, man.
Yeah. So, and when he would say that, it would just kind of bother me sometimes. I'm like,
Yeah, because unconsciously it's saying your choice.
it's your dream,
choices
and I
are
feel
wrong.
bad because it's his dream, but it's not my dream.
Here's the thing: what story was written from that experience about you, about the world? And we'll dig through this together.
Yeah.
So just like what story of the world was created from this?
As a 10-year-old.
As a
like,
10-year-old, because the
10-year-old.
funny thing is the writer,
Is
the
a
script
10-year-old.
writer, was a 10-year-old.
Yeah, literally.
And you still, we still at times
Oh,
hold
little
that
kid,
script as
man.
canon,
That little poor guy, dude. I think about him.
right?
Yeah.
Very,
I
very.
feel bad for the little guy. He went through hell, man.
He went through hell,
He went
man.
through hell. He got beat up so bad, dude.
Right. Okay, so what story did you make?
I just felt worthless.
Right.
Wow.
I felt like everything I did was meaningless, and my dad's like, "Oh, it's okay, don't worry about it." I'm like, "Don't worry about it." What? Wait, what do you mean? Don't worry. I lost the game.
Right.
I can't go celebrate and have ice cream with kids. I'm gonna go home crying, and I get nothing. I get a trophy. I get nothing. What do I get? A big L in the face.
That is hell.
That
For
was
a 10-year-old
hell.
child, like literally.
Yeah.
That is hell. That's hell. That's heavy. Now, I mean, obviously, I'm I'm just saying, for in the context of that story, as you as a child, that's very difficult, because we see
It was
as
everything.
we try to explain it for a kid, and obviously there's worse situations, of course,
Yeah.
but that is a super traumatic thing. You know what I mean? When all eyes are on you, and you have to understand the world is a lot bigger when we're kids.
Oh,
It's a lot bigger.
Huge.
So I mean, you were like, you might as well have been in like the freaking gladiator arena. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a big
Yeah.
deal. Your dad's there looking at you, hoping for a certain outcome.
Ugh.
Your team is hoping for a certain outcome. The whole crew that your team, the parents of them, are hoping for a certain outcome, and it all pinpoints into the focal you.
Man, it makes me scared right now. Right.
Right.
So scared.
Yeah.
That was everything to you.
Why do you
Like
feel scared?
Because it puts me in that situation again, where like it kind of corners me against the wall, and it's like live or die
And you died.
situation, and I died, and like then after that I'm gone, I'm non-existent.
wow.
It's like all or nothing,
Mm,
right? And if that's what I started living my life as, all or nothing lifestyle,
How
like
so?
all in or all out.
Or all in until you go out, and then all out.
Yeah. All in till you go out, like, until like I get like, until I fail. It's usually when I'm put into a situation where I'm like all alone,
Uh-huh.
and I feel cornered, and I
Right.
feel like I'm helpless.
Right.
And that's when it hits me hard.
And what do you do?
The moment that trigger comes in and I feel helpless, I'll just feel really sad, and I'll feel like really anxious.
And then what do you do?
And then I'll just, usually I just kind of step away for a little bit till I gather my thoughts and I come back.
Pick me.
Yes.
Would you say because if your initial reaction to the pain was anger,
Yeah.
right? You felt it and you cried, but you attacked somebody. Do you find that as a pattern when you are triggered or when you are hurt, that you go to anger? Is that your faster
Yes.
emotion?
It is my faster emotion.
Dang.
It is.
That feeling that you had where you were like this, do you feel that? Have you felt that now? Like, can you pinpoint certain times in your life where you felt that type of anger?
Many times.
Yeah.
Many times.
Right. Because remember the
Little
court thing was
things.
something that you mentioned, right?
Oh, that made me so.
The what thing?
mad.
Right.
Court
It was just a
stuff.
situation.
Just a
Oh.
situation,
Yeah.
family stuff. But
But
Okay.
enough to be just like, okay, that's annoying. But
Yeah.
you went to anger.
because I felt like I had to fix someone else's
Right.
crap.
Right.
And it made me feel like I'm
Oh,
all alone.
cold.
I have to figure this out all over again.
Wow.
But Brat was also like, why aren't you doing your job?
Yes. And
Right.
it goes back to my dad.
Yeah. So what we're doing, and obviously, like, we don't have to like get into super detail.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but it's
But-
crazy how it's connected.
Yeah, but what happens is there's a
That is crazy.
trigger, and the trigger goes back to,
That moment.
it goes, ugh.
Dang.
And then when it takes it, it's like, I can't keep all this. Boom. And you shoot it out. Even like, when you're talking about work, you know what I mean? There's this or cut off, right? The way you handled it is at 10 years old, right? That canon is still something that we can sometimes live by. You know what I mean? It still shows up in our lives. And it's just a reaction. But you never really correlated that. You're like, it's just a soccer game. But the way that the level that you feel it now, like I said, is a barometer of its effect in your life right now.
Yeah.
Oh, for all of us, it goes deep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like my thing is, math majors, obviously, that was a trauma. Lighter, right? But for me, I could say with baseball, I remember I was playing baseball and I got beaned. Right?
Oh.
I got beaned twice in one game. And I could never from that point step into the plate. My dad's like, step in the plate. I stepped out
Dang.
because I was so afraid of getting hurt. But that also puts this trauma that I can't face my fears. Right? And so I had to do the exposure therapy to
Yeah.
put myself in a place where I was constantly facing my fears till it became normal.
Wow.
But this is where the difficult thing is. just because I've gotten better doesn't mean that there's other higher frequency or more terrifying areas where I'm stepping out the plate. I'm still doing it, right? Right when the opportunity, the ball comes close and I make it, everything looks like I'm about to swing, but I step out the plate. Like literally I'm having revelation right now about it.
Crazy.
Even as I'm going through this right here, I'm stepping in and I do everything I can to make it look like I'm stepping into the plate to swing, but I'm stepping out. So I find, okay, where else am I doing it? There's obviously places now, and it's kind of cool because just as I'm doing with you, I'm doing with me. Because I know that it's in all of us.
Yeah.
But this is what's cool where I win is I get to see it right now. I just had a correlate. Correlation. I was able to correlate those two. And now I'm empowered. So I have a little grin. Because I know that by seeing it, I become more powerful.
Exactly.
When I see it, I can start to notice the pattern. And now I've created a label, a category, a name, a schema for it.
You just created it right now.
Yeah. So it's like the DSM. Like when you look at the like the psychological illnesses, I guess you could say, but there's a name for them, like schizophrenia, and this is explanation. Once you're able to describe them, you then can move. If I say move that cup, you know what you need to do. But if there wasn't a name for the cup, you know what to do. Wow. We say cup, now we have clarity, categorized, right? You know that it was something. So the same thing's happening with me is, okay, where am I stepping into the plate but stepping out of it, right? And what's the reason it is? I don't want to get beamed by the ball.
Dang.
Right?
That's crazy, dude.
I don't want to get hit. So, but the thing is that you look like you're swinging, right? But you're swinging, but you're not trying to hit. You're trying more not to get hit than to hit.
So you're not 100%.
You're not fully invested.
Yeah.
You're not willing to get hit by that ball.
Damn, that's so deep, bro. Holy crap.
That's crazy too. Is he just figured it out right now?
Yeah, it's powerful,
Okay, it's crazy,
bro. Like this is like this type of stuff. When you are excited about that, this is where it becomes more exciting than scary. Because I've gotten to the point where when I see it, I win. I'm not afraid of the responsibility. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's a little bit of trepidation, but that's like trepidation before roller coaster type of thing, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't mean I'm going to immediately start stepping into the plate, but what it does mean is I'm going to catch it every time I do it now because I have a name for it. I can objectively look at it. And then I can start to ask myself, how can I step into the plate? Like, what would I do that would step me into the plate?
Dang.
And I'm thinking about that. For example, like I'm working on my programs and I have certain programs and I'm like, but I want to transfer to this. And then I'm like, you can put it out right now. But what if they see that, but put it out right now? Who cares? Just put it out.
Yeah.
Step into the plate, even if they don't like it the way it is. But interesting. You know what I'm saying? So it's this kind of like, now I have a phrase, step into the plate. And I do this with my clients where they have these phrases that they create. And I use their, one of my clients is so crazy.
Like step into the plate.
He was talking about his hammer. His power is his hammer. Like Thor type of thing, right?
That's kind of cool.
So I'm like, why are you giving your hammer away? So now when he's thinking about situations,
He thinks of
his hammer.
Damn, I have
wow.
Because you have to connect with the ankle.
Right? I have to think of something too.
Yeah. I mean, you have to think of, just go back to the soccer game. What was it?
Yeah, that's crazy. I'll figure it out. I'll find it.
Totally. But the more important is that
but I'm aware of it now.
That's
I'm observing
exactly
it. I'm aware of now the patterns of my anger and my reactions from that traumatic event.
Right.
It's a lot of different reactions. My relationships with people. A lot of it has to do with that.
That's why you like exercising too, I think.
Yeah.
Because there's three things that are happening.
Yeah.
In my mind.
Yeah,
okay?
Go for it.
I
would love to hear this.
So what you have is you have insecurity.
Yes.
Those are laws.
I wrote that down, dude. I freaking wrote that down right here. Oh my God. I was like, first time I felt insecure and hopeless.
Wow.
Right. Wow. Okay. Freaking perfect.
That is
So what you have is you have a
awesome,
log
dude.
of insecurity.
Yeah.
It's very dry.
Yes.
Okay. Very dry. And it's not humid out today. Right. And anger is your fire. And to get rid of that insecurity, you light it up.
dude.
Dude. That was fire.
Why do you do that, bro?
Okay, you just killed it.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that was good. Oh my gosh, that was good.
Like I'm like watching this and literally this image is what pops into my head. I'm like, you have these logs and you're like, throw it in the fire. That's the fastest way to get rid of it.
Oh my gosh.
I must burn this. Wow. And the only way to eat it is to consume it.
Jeez.
Right? In the flames, and people get burnt.
Yeah.
And you burn people, and you burn yourself as well in the process. And then exercise, which is more positive self-regulation, is water.
Dude, I received that, man.
That's so true.
Right?
I
That's so
received
And there's
that.
two ways to stop a fire: to put water on it when it's up, or to pour water on it before it catches fire. That's how you stop fires. So right now what you're doing is lighting the insecurity, right? Insecurity log, you're throwing those logs in there, and then you go exercise, pull it down.
Exactly.
But at a higher state
That's so
is
cool.
when you pour water on the log so the flame can't light.
Damn.
That's so cool, dude.
Wow. So pour water on the log.
Well, are you saying essentially what you're saying is the exercise is that?
I say you said it too fast.
I said pour water on
On
the log.
Yes, but you said it too fast. You said it like you understood it.
Yeah, I know.
that concerns me.
That's exactly. You're right.
So what I say is talk slower right now because this is
pour
really
water
powerful.
on the log.
Yes, but understand more important
Yes,
right
the
now is the
concept.
consumption.
The consumption.
The consumption of the fire, because what happens is because I said something in an analogy
Yeah.
that made perfect sense to you,
Yeah.
you may lose it quick.
Exactly. So I want to write it down.
Yeah. And understand that there is, in that perfect quote unquote analogy,
Yeah.
there's suffering that you are receiving that other people are receiving as well. Because if you get caught on the idea that it was a good idea, you're missing the power that it's very negatively effective in your
Yes.
life, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. Dude, that's crazy, man. So the fire represents my anger,
I want to say rage,
my rage, and then the log represents my insecurities.
right?
You said it was a dry log.
Yeah.
Okay. The dry log represents my insecurities.
Why did I say that?
Because a dry log catches fire faster.
Absolutely. You've
Dude.
learned to dry your logs because you don't water them.
Ah, because I don't water them.
Maybe it's a dead tree that you need to water. Interesting. This,
Ah,
I mean, this
maybe
can
it's
go
a-
so far.
Maybe it's
but I
a
don't wanna
dead
go
tree.
down the rabbit hole. But just we'll start with the security. Look, I could go further, but it's just not necessary. I don't think at this point. But I think that
Sorry, I just want to write it down real quick before I forget it.
Go.
You thinking that it's a good analogy stops the.
let's just take a second. You sit with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then
Yeah,
here.
me.
I've talked about this before. Aha moments are a little dangerous.
Yeah, they are very dangerous.
Right?
For me
Because
especially.
yeah, exactly. Because when we think we get it, we let go of it.
Yeah, because we think we understand.
949-382-2264. What'd I say?
949-82. Yeah.
Right? But even I'll go a little slower. 949-382-8464.
949-382-8684.
Okay. You're close. Let's do 5 numbers.
Okay.
1824.
1824.
That's 4 numbers. Okay, but still.
I get you.
No,
I get it.
What am I trying to say?
You're trying to say
What am I horribly trying to get across?
that if you're focused on the wrong thing, you're going to miss.
To a certain extent.
Yeah.
It's your
What were the
short-
4 numbers that I just told you?
I can't remember.
But you remembered immediately when I told
It's a
you.
short-term memory issue. we have.
Exactly. That's exactly. Thank
Doesn't-
you.
doesn't go
I worked
long-term.
way too hard for what he just said. Okay.
Exactly,
Thank you.
because the short-term memory
That was no,
catches
not even.
on.
I don't even think it was in your vicinity
it catches on like and then it doesn't go long-term
because it sounds. It bounces.
it
1, 2, 8,
yeah.
4, 3.
Yeah,
You're like,
that's right.
oh, 1, 2, 8, 4, 3. That's an easy one. But then
But you,
2 minutes go by. My short-term memory is so confident that it can hold it. It's already lost it because of a new idea that's come in. So what I'm saying.
That's better. Yeah, I
ultimately-
like
What
that.
I'm saying ultimately is this: don't get it too quickly
Exactly.
because then you missed it.
Exactly. Thank you for sharing that.
This is my work, like to a certain extent, working with these stories that are written that cause us to live these reactions out. You know what I mean? And it's cool because we were able to kind of pull up me stepping away from the plate, you with the log in
Yeah.
the fire, right? These things control our lives, most of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I've worked with people who are very successful in the world, right? And those people who are not as much, or people who are really close to their families or super religious. I've worked with all types of people. We all have them. These core beliefs about ourselves that are tied from traumatic experiences, right? And sometimes a traumatic experience is not like that one moment. It can also be a religion that constantly is telling you to feel guilty, right? Or it could be parents that are never satisfied. For me, one of my things, my dad, I'm like, hey, guess what I got on my test? And he's like, 100.
why you gotta disappoint me like
Of
that?
course, that's going to give me a complex. It's never enough.
Yeah.
It's never enough, right?
That word too. That it's never enough.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
huge.
yeah, that's-
It's
dude,
huge.
That these type of this is literally inception stuff, guys.
Oh yeah.
Because if that's at the core,
Yeah.
or just beside the core, because the core of us is our real light, and our true light is the most powerful thing in the world. But just next to it is our doubt. And that guy, if it's getting the playtime, if it's getting the food,
That's it. Takes
done.
it.
Game's over. You're just going to be a reaction the rest of your life from old programs that you
Just gonna
created
be
as a
a
kid.
reaction for the rest of your life.
But what's powerful is that you're observing this. Now you have to have that conversation with that kid. You have to talk to that kid.
Yeah.
And this is where it's very powerful, because when you look at him, you're not mad at him for being that way. He's doing the best he could to survive. And so we have a whole process to have that conversation,
That's exactly right.
because that's what really allows you to separate. And when you separate, you can then become a producer again, because he was producing to protect you, but to sabotage you, to protect you, right?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Literally level 1 is go back in the time machine,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And notice the pattern.
Yeah.
Try to see if you can find a pattern. What is it? Something that I've done as a kid, or I've experienced as a kid. You know, I've had different people where their father was just like, "You mean nothing to me," or "You're dead to me," and boom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's it's always something, or
Yeah.
multiple things that have
It
happened.
took me like 5 minutes to do
Yeah,
it.
and
And I wrote down what did I do to stop believing in myself?
Right.
I sat there, I wrote it down. I was like, so when did I stop believing in myself?
Right.
And I thought about it, and then boom, it just came. That memory came, and started writing it down.
That's
And
exactly.
who would have thought? And then now I see the you know how
Yeah.
it ties to everything. I'm like, holy crap. So I'd say for people like the biggest takeaway today, literally, write it down.
Wow.
Write
Bingo.
down.
Wow.
Bingo.
When did you?
Yes.
When did I stop believing in myself?
Yeah. I think it'll come natural. Like when you notice it, I think it just comes all the next steps just come naturally.
Absolutely. And even if you choose the wrong one, it's
Yeah.
a train.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It never
If you stay on the train, you'll get to the station.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And even if you don't get to the main core station, every one of the other stations are mechanisms, echoes of that. And you can still learn about the mechanism and observe from it.